All right.
Negative K, nothing further. Just Kitty Canby in the corner. That's a direct order. Do it now.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Today is Thursday, April 30th, 2026. We are Roll Call Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. I'm here with a few of my friends. I have D Schoon, I have AC, I have Will, I have Derek, I have Rich, Mark, Cheech, and Jim. Thank you guys for joining us today. We do have a show prepared for you. You see, D is representing my son today with his curative illusion hat. Thank you, D. Thank you so much. AC representing the New York Yankees. Yankees, is it Yankees or Yankees? The New York Yankees.
Yankees.
And then Will Quick is representing North Carolina A&T and Obama. Amen. Listen. I told him I was gonna put this on for a second, so I'm gonna do that real quick, so everybody know that I'm down. I'm down with Will. Which way? That way. I'm down with you, Will. All right. So I got my Obama hat as well, and then so nobody think I'm going crazy. I bought two hats today, so you don't think I'm going crazy. I had to put on the real hat, with the one I really represent.
There you go.
There you go.
That's the real one right there. So. But
Hey, Jim's representing too.
What's Jim? Penn State. Penn State. I see it.
Nittany Lions.
Hey, listen, Rich is too. Public
Rich is
enemy.
representing the public.
Public enemy.
Public enemy.
Listen, we got Jamel coming back on us. So let's get started with our intro moment of silence. Amen. All right. Thank you so much. That's always heart-wrenching to hear that and to participate in that. Before I move on, and Jim, that was not discussed earlier, but it was something that was brought up, but you can always bring that up in there, right? So we're not excluding that. We're praying for Derek and Deirdre, and I know that Deirdre is much better. I know she is, but I just want to make sure we continue to lift her up in prayer. We're praying for JT in Orlando. We're praying for Cheech and Anna, Isabel Jordan, and Monique, which is Mark's sister-in-law. And Derek, you would know this person. Remember my cousin Betty? Heavy said, she's about my mother's age. She always come by and hug us. And her daughter was Deanna and Demetrius. She died yesterday.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
Wow.
so my first cousin passed away on yesterday. And so we're praying for that family. We're also saying happy birthday to one of our friends, the roll call friends, Colleen Bull, celebrating her birthday today. So happy birthday, Colleen. You know, and she hangs out with her two male friends, Jack and Daniel. So we'll make sure they're all right. All right. Listen, today AC gonna lead us in our conversation. And for those who will listen to us, I just want you guys to know that I try to shift this around. I don't want to be the only voice on here. So I try to shift this around to where different people will host and get comfortable with hosting. And if they get on in time, you know, you'll see the faces that are here where we're in preparation. And sometimes I already have a person in mind even before I get here. But I just like for them to have a taste of what's going on. So today, he's you guys have heard him plenty of times. AC is going to lead us. He knows how to host. He knows how to get us going. So AC, it's on you.
Okay, before you get started, Cheech and Rich.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I forgot. I didn't do the disclaimer from Cheech and statement of purpose from Rich. I'm sorry.
Oh, Dave's not here today. We don't need it. Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Before we get started, wanted to go over a couple of things with you. First and foremost, we want to let you know that the comments made by members of Roll Call are the opinions of each individual. They are not intended to be legal advice, a suggestion, a recommendation. Remember that the laws change from state to state, city to city, village to village. So please check with a local attorney or your local police department for any legal advice. Also, in order to spark our conversations, we do display videos and photographs, some of which may be graphic in nature. These are not intended to offend anybody, so please do not take offense to them. A member of the panel will give you a heads up if we think that one of them may be too graphic for you. They are not the property of Roll Call. We get these videos and photographs from social media like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. So you do have access to them just as we do. And last but not least, the language used by our members is very spontaneous. It is uncensored. Everybody here speaks from the heart. We don't hold back. We speak our truth. Please do not take offense to it. You will see that sometimes we do not agree among each other, but we never take it personal. We never get offended by it. So we hope that you don't. Thank you. And if you have any questions, comments, please post them on the chat and somebody from the panel will get back to you. Rich?
Thank you, Cheech. Good afternoon. We are Roll Call Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. We are a pro-law enforcement group. We're for equitable policing. We are against racism. And Black and Brown Lives Matter. We come to you each week and attempt to bridge the gap between law enforcement and your community. Thank you for being here with us.
Okay, now we got that taken care of. Go right to D. Let's get started. We're going to Texas, I believe.
Yes, sir. Godly, Texas. Our first video. Some of this stuff is you can't really believe it, but you got to watch this and then we're going to discuss. Let's take a look.
Prostitution operation and an alleged plot to dig up dirt on city officials. The woman at the center of it spoke with Fox 4 tonight.
I believe in justice, and I know that the truth will prevail like it always does.
That's Ashley Ketcherside, a convicted prostitute who in 2023 was removed from overseeing sex education at Godly ISD.
And now her husband is in legal trouble on prostitution charges, as are Godly's former police chief and former police officer. Fox 4's David Santendri live tonight with that interview and the details in this tawdry case. David.
Well, there is a web of expanding allegations involving police officials, prostitution, and a whole lot more.
I have not spoken to them. I don't know what their investigation is or what is going on.
Ashley Ketcherside at the center of an ongoing prostitution conspiracy investigation by the Johnson County District Attorney's Office and Texas DPS. Her husband, Michael Ketcherside, charged with continuous promotion of prostitution. Former Godly Chief of Police, Matthew Cantrell, charged with promoting prostitution. Former Godly police officer, Solomon Omatoya, charged with soliciting prostitution. Was there prostitution between you, the former chief of police, and that officer?
Absolutely not.
We'll get back to that momentarily, but first, remember, in 2023, Fox 4 broke news that Ketcherside, a convicted prostitute advertising on escort websites, was volunteering on a Godly ISD committee, which, in part, designed sexual education curriculum. She was later removed from multiple positions within the school district.
I truly cannot believe that we're still dealing with this 3 years later.
Godly ISD trustee Kayla Lane blew the whistle to Fox 4 about that story. We'll circle back to her soon. As for the current criminal investigation, are you active on any escort pages right now?
I'm not.
Court documents accuse Ketcherside and her husband of racketeering, operating an illegal business or scheme to make profit while involving coercion, fraud, or extortion. In defending her husband, she disputes the basis for those claims.
He's a great husband, an amazing father to my 3 kids, and I believe in the justice system.
Investigators searched the Ketcherside's home last month. Court documents reveal they seized Ashley's burner phone and uncovered a large number of prostitution clients, including former Officer Omatoya, who solicited Ashley for sex in exchange for doing yard work and other favors. Omatoya led investigators to former Chief Cantrell. According to the documents, investigators uncovered Godly police officers and their spouses would frequently spend time at Ashley and Michael's residence, where Ashley was reportedly preparing another woman for prostitution. Former Chief Cantrell told investigators Ashley's common rate for sex was roughly $1,000 per hour, supporting details investigators found in her phone.
I feel that 2 consenting adults should be allowed to do whatever it is that they want to do.
That's how Ashley responded when asked about prostitution, but to be clear, she denies being a prostitute despite 2 previous convictions. She has not been arrested or charged in the current investigation, though the court documents do identify her as a co-defendant. She also wants to point out she's not a victim.
I was absolutely never trafficked.
This case, however, is about more than prostitution claims. Investigators believe the Ketchersides and former Chief Cantrell compiled information using police resources on local city and school district officials and private citizens who they perceived as adversaries. How they may have used that information is unclear. So at no point did you ask this chief of police or anyone within the Godly Police Department to get you records that weren't going through the correct avenues?
Absolutely not.
Solomon Omatoya told investigators his former chief pulled computerized criminal history records of people involved in a civil lawsuit with Ashley Ketcherside, according to court documents. Kayla Lane, the Godly ISD trustee, is alarmed by the alleged conspiracy.
I'm very glad that the district attorney's office has been taking this seriously, and so I have no doubt that there are more people involved.
Prosecutors say more arrests are anticipated, but despite the multiple arrests so far and sworn statements against Ketcherside to law enforcement, she maintains innocence.
I know that the truth will come out.
Michael Ketcherside's bond is $250,000. He is in the Johnson County Jail. As for the former police chief, his bond set at $100,000. And that former officer, Omatoya, he has posted his bond that was $20,000.
Okay, no hands up. Okay. Yeah, you start, Will.
A violent arrest, all caught on camera. Now.
There you go. There you go. So clearly, she is the focus of this investigation. But you have a former police chief who is suspected of pulling records of individuals from her client list. Now, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I ain't the smartest man in the room. Otherwise, I need to switch rooms. But the police chief wasn't protecting her. He needs to get dirt on everybody else to make sure that he's not outed, which, of course, didn't happen. I don't think any of us would condone the behavior when it comes to sex for money, but none of us are so naive as to not realize that they call it the oldest profession in history for a reason. And it's disappointing the way that they have decided that it appears this young lady and her husband are going to be the scapegoats for individuals who were in positions of trust and authority because they're getting caught up in the trap. Now, mind you, yes, she had a conviction on her record for prostitution. 2. Okay. On its face, I can understand why someone would have concerns about her teaching sex education. On its face. But 1, she was volunteering. 2, do you have any evidence that what she was teaching in that environment was influenced or impacted by her lifestyle? Because the fact that she might have been in prostitution doesn't negate her credibility to teach somebody the right way to do stuff. There's a lot of people out here that can teach you the right way to do stuff, and they're not doing it right themselves. That's it.
Okay.
I'm glad I got to go behind Will on this one, because before I address what Will just said, first of all, are we surprised? Nope. This is America. I mean, we got the first lady on the pole, man. This is America. There's no expectation of anything anymore. We were talking about it before we came on. We got investigators that can't do investigations. We got security people don't keep nobody secure. We got war people can't do war. Are we surprised? And Will, I just wanted to make a quick comment. I only got a couple of minutes because you said, yeah, right. She's arrested a couple of times and she should be able to. But does anybody remember the term when we became what we consider here in New York public officials? Did we remember the term, you can't have the appearance of impropriety?
Yep. That's in the Bible too. Okay.
All right, help me, Pastor. Now, I'm maybe I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm dull. I'm a dull spoon. But we have these things where we want to explain these things away. You can't. I don't want to talk to nobody who's been arrested twice for prostitution. I'm mad I had a conversation with you. I'm mad we might be seen in a picture together, much less you teaching somebody's children. Because we're in an information age. And imagine somebody connected to you that's a child that has the ability to Google what I just Googled, just to say Miss whatever her name is, you Google her. And she's allowed to, you teach your kids to respect your teachers. They know what they're talking about. You follow what they say and what they do. And I Google you.
Look at him. Boy, you crazy.
Right. I Google you and I'm saying to myself, well, mom and dad told me I got to follow her. And then you're shocked. Shocked, I tell you. Clutch the pearls that you find that little girl in the hotel room. And you say, I don't know how it happened. Because we start to allow so much that these kids can't decipher between what you did 20 years ago and what you're doing now. They just know this is what you tell me. And this is okay. And do we want, I don't want to be responsible. I want to be able to say no, no, and no. And if she has the appearance of doing that, no, you can't teach no kids. I wouldn't even ask to teach no kids. If I had two prostitution rips on me, I wouldn't. No, sir, I can't teach them kids. I don't care how pious I am now. I can't. No, sir. No, sir. I wouldn't even try. So I'm just I'm not really amazed. This is what it is. But at some place, we got to shut down, drop the gavel and say no more. No more foolishness, no more explanation, no more it's okay. If you do, you got to be out of office. You got to be out of wherever you are. Bye. I know it was a one mistake, but that's one mistake too many when you got billions and billions of people watching you. I can't make one mistake, and if I do, bye. That's it.
Okay. Derek, before I come to you, Don, you got your finger up?
Yes, I just want to read the comments. Richard Ballard says, if she's teaching sex education, she has a curriculum she has to follow. Her background as a prostitute should not matter. Okay. I'm just reading the comments, y'all. So y'all gotta do it.
All right. That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, Derek, please.
I wouldn't want anyone teaching my child or teaching at my children's school that was a criminal suspect. Now, I don't know whether she just got arrested twice for prostitution or convicted twice for prostitution, but clearly she's suspected of being a prostitute currently. And whether it's prostitution, whether it's theft, whether it's fraud, I wouldn't want that person teaching at my child's school, period. And honestly, obviously, if they're not convicted, then they can get away with it. I still wouldn't want it happening. I wouldn't want it happening. And as far as she said, two consenting adults can do whatever they want. And they can as long as it's deemed legal. You can't do whatever you want if it's not legal. So, like, the only people that I think that could benefit from her teaching is if she's teaching teenage boys and they could get up $1,000. But this, I don't, like two consenting adults can't do whatever they want because there's plenty of things that are illegal that you just can't do. And she said her husband is a great husband, an amazing father, and I just throw in a third thing, and he's a better pimp. He's a better pimp because he's pimping her out, and she's down with it. That's it.
All right. Well,
now I want to make a clarification. I don't want anybody to misunderstand or misinterpret that I am condoning what she's doing by no stretch. But I would like to make these points. She said what happens between two consenting adults. And as law enforcement officers, of course, we associate legality as far as what laws are on the books. I'll ask everyone here. And the only reason I ask this is because the agencies that I came from, I'm down in the South in the Bible Belt. And this sort of offense has been kind of pushed back, just like marijuana use. So now I ask this question. In a prostitution case, who's the victim?
Well, the public health is the victim.
Well, no. The only reason public health is a victim is if you attach some sort of public issue or public safety concern to prostitution, which could be the case with somebody just out here spreading it for free. But in a prostitution case, who's the victim?
No, normally, it's known or said to be a victimless crime, but there are a lot of things that we do legislate morality. And I'm sorry, we do.
Now you actually hit on the point.
Yeah.
Morality,
but this in this specific case is not just the prostitution. We're not talking about the money that the IRS not getting. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the the administration or people doing illegal stuff in the police department and to further promote this prostitution.
Right.
That's
Right.
the problem.
And
that's what the problem is here. It's
and
not
I
him.
get all of
You
that.
got another answer here. You got Derek has a hand up too. So
Go
you got
ahead.
another answer.
I say it's victimless because both the prostitute and the John get arrested. So both parties get arrested. So both,
Right.
it's a criminal act on each side. The only time a potential prostitute doesn't get arrested is if she's a police officer and she's placed out, with a wire or whatever, and the person makes her the offer. They make the offer, she doesn't. She stands out there, she's enticing, but they make the verbal offer, and then they get arrested and she doesn't. But if it's a real prostitute and a real John, both of them get arrested. And in New York City, I don't know if it's still this way, but when I was working, actually arresting people for prostitution in the Bronx, if you were the John and you got arrested and you were in a car, your car got confiscated.
Yeah.
It didn't get impounded. It got confiscated. It now belonged to the city. So that's a real bad deal for the guys who have to go home and when they finally get out of jail, tell their wife, "Oh, by the way, we don't have a car anymore." But
not we, but me.
And I need a lawyer. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, for a lot of us, prostitution arrest typically was an inroads to other crimes, whether it's drugs or whatever, because so it wasn't so much there was this overwhelming cry for prostitution. It was an inroads. And then for those that were hanging on to the morality component, then yeah, certainly. Now, with this young lady, if prostitution had been in her history and not what she was actually engaged in now, then I can understand her teaching kids. I know everybody's not going to go with me on this, but at the end of the day, all of us got history. It's just some of us it's known of. Some of us, we taking it to the grave with us. But if you walk this earth, all of us got history about something that would disqualify us in one way, shape, form, or fashion. No, I am not owning up to anything. I'm carrying it to the grave with me. But all of us got history.
Well, I know my coaches, when I was in high school, my coaches used to play football or they used to play lacrosse. So I would assume that you want a teacher that.
My coach.
I'm sorry. Anybody else got anything on this topic? No. Derek, can we go to D? Can we go to the bodega?
Yes, we can. I think week before last, or last week. Well, week before last, we showed a video of a gentleman being wrongfully, I don't know if you can be rightfully beat up, but wrongfully in a bodega. These are the results. Let's take a look.
Mistaken identity, a violent arrest, all caught on camera, and now a massive legal battle against the city. Timothy Brown, the Brooklyn man beaten inside of a liquor store by two undercover detectives, has filed his notice of claim seeking millions after being dragged through broken glass. Fox 9's Teresa Perillo is on the story for us. Teresa, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Bianca, this is, in fact, that complaint that was filed by Timothy Brown seeking $100 million from the NYPD as a result of that violent beatdown and subsequent arrest. He says the detectives who beat him had the wrong guy, and they also violated his constitutional rights. Now, according to Timothy Brown, this is the first time that he is having his say about that incident that unfolded on April 14th. We got to hear him detail what happened, how he felt, what he was going through, the embarrassment, the shame, and the effects that still linger. Now, to remind you, it was around 4 p.m. on April 14th. Brown stopped at a liquor store in Brooklyn to buy a bottle of wine. He says without warning, two plainclothes detectives with the Brooklyn North Narcotics Unit grabbed him, told him he was under arrest. They then began to use force, throwing punches and at one point even kicking him. The cops were participating in an undercover crack cocaine sting, but they had the wrong guy. Now, Brown wants to make the NYPD pay pay enough money so that the cops are deterred from this kind of behavior. He and his legal team also want institutional change, including a hit to the police pension fund when something like this happens. Here is Timothy Brown talking about the assault.
Disrespected, embarrassed, and I was brutally beaten for no reason. I work, I'm on my business, I'm a taxpaying citizen, and what happened to me should never happen to anyone else. It was wrong, and it was disgusting, and my life will never be the same.
Now, we've heard from both the mayor and the police commissioner about this. They talked about disbanding that narcotics unit. They also have modified or transferred out the officers that were involved. But it is important to mention, Bianca, both Brown and his mom say they have not personally heard from the mayor or the police commissioner. And they say, quote, they are disgusted about that. That's the latest from Lower Manhattan today. Back to you in the studio.
All right.
Okay, I got Donald. I saw myself first. I don't know which one came up first.
Yeah, I think it's myself, then Rich, and then Jim. And then Derek, and then D, and then Derek. Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's a terrible video, you guys. I mean, even if that is the person, why did it take all of that to put handcuffs on him? You got two guys there. The guy wasn't fighting at all. I mean, you could see he wasn't fighting. You could see he was just like, trying to maintain his balance with him. But they are doing everything to hurt this guy. It's ridiculous. And the one thing I think I heard him say that he's trying to make change, trying to sue the police pension fund. Did I hear that being said? I mean, because I don't think that's going to happen. But the city and those officers personally are definitely have to pay something. They're going to have to pay for that. But it was just, my wife, if she's watching right now, which I'm sure she is, she couldn't handle that video. I mean, just for someone just getting beat up like that. And you're talking about, these are guys supposed to be protecting us, So that's what I want to say about that. But I want to say also, Richard Bowden says, talking about the prostitution part first. I want to get to that. It's a victimless crime unless she is spreading a sexual disease. Then it is a crime. It's also a crime, at least in Virginia, to knowingly spread a sexual disease, even if you are giving it up for free. All right. Brian Camp asked a question. How do you former police officers watching this video personally feel about this? Just ask the question. I didn't read that, and I pretty much told you how I felt about it. It was terrible, Brian. It was terrible for me to watch that. And I'm saying, even if the person was the person they were looking for, it was terrible. But now it's even worse because it wasn't even the person they were looking for. I'm done.
Okay, Rich.
Yeah, that was horrible. You have these specialized units. Normally, I mean, ones that I've been involved in, we get together and we have a meeting and we have subjects, the pictures on the wall. Everybody gets familiar, or we pass around a picture that this is what we're looking for. This is our target today. I know all blacks look alike to some people, but we do look different, as we can see on this panel here. But if you familiarize yourself with the person you're trying to target and get, and this is some kind of crack enforcement team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just don't. It's just amateur night, and I don't understand how, as soon as you see your target, it's a beatdown. I don't understand that. I mean, it'd be different if you took a fighting stance or you had a weapon, but he's just there with his bottle in his hand, getting some wine. Why does he have to be beat down? Whether that's him or not, just like you said, Rev. And in the way they beat him down, they didn't even use police tactics in the fight. We know how we were trained, what areas not to strike. I mean, they kick him in the ass and the head. I mean, dragging him through glass. That's not taught in the academy, or any kind of tactic training. It's just deplorable. And I think we're looking at these ICE agents who are you know, inexperienced and just doing irrational things, not really law enforcement officers, just a gang of thugs, you know, just abusing people. We got to get beyond that. I think we're too desensitized to people being abused. I mean, we really are. I mean, it's people don't even blink now when somebody's getting abused. You know, and I know we started this this group because there was a rash of black men being assaulted, unalived, you know, as they were unarmed. You know, it was a rash. You remember back then, but finally that settled down. But this is case by case basis. This is horrible. They should disband that unit and should be appropriate prosecution for these individuals. That's all I got.
Thank you. Jim?
Yeah, I don't know this for a fact because I didn't hear it, but in New York, the Attorney General's office investigates any abuse of police power by a police officer in New York. I'm going to assume that in this case will wind up, certainly should wind up in the district attorney's office, but it also should wind up by this new law that in the Attorney General's office of New York. Again, I haven't heard anything along those lines, but it would seem to me this is the very kind of case that belongs in that arena of investigation outside of the city of New York and into the state's hands. This is also a prime example of why it's so dangerous not to have any federal oversight on this case. This is an absolute example of something that would wind up in the division of the Civil Rights Division in Washington. But because of him in office, that's not going to happen. So the entirety is going to wind up at the Attorney General's level. So if this were in another state, this without any oversight, this would just be a freebie. That's all I have.
Yeah. D?
I just wanted to say really quickly, having made close to 1,000 arrests in New York City, I've never been in a punch fest at all. I started thinking about the guys we had to run after. We had to run down the fire escape up on the roof. At the end of that, it was never a fisticuff. Never. I'm trying to think of one time as I was sitting here, one time where I had to get them ready and start throwing punches. We all were taught, we all were trained how to gain control of a subject and handcuff him. I'm going to say it again. We all were taught how to gain control of a subject and handcuff him when he's committed a crime or you were detaining him. In nowhere in there are you beating him up, kicking him in the tail, punching him in the chest. I'm trying to think. If I was supervising those two guys, tell me what was going on. Why did you feel you had to punch him in the chest when he's being held by somebody else? Totally unnecessary. That wasn't an arrest. That was a fight. As far as I'm concerned. And it wasn't even really a fight. It was a jumping because you had a 2-on-1. And I always say,
don't do the crime if you can't do the time.
Hey, if you gonna do that, you gonna have to do. You gonna have to do it. I know that the union comes in and everybody wants to. I can't. I don't see it. I don't see where that's an arrest. That's two guys jumping in. I'm not gonna get caught in to whether he was guilty or not. Whether he's guilty or not, it doesn't matter. That still shouldn't happen. Not only would that not happen with a not guilty person, that shouldn't be happen with a guy that's I got for a homicide. He still don't get beat up. He still doesn't get punched in the chest and kicked in the ass. It just don't happen. So I'm saying we have and to Jim's point, we're going so far away from what policing is that here we go with I'm gonna say the word, I heard it on TV the other day, the Gestapo tactics. Beat them down. That's not what we were out there doing. Tell me anybody in the room was out there looking to beat somebody up all day. Slow down. You know, a lot of times it didn't get to even physical. And then when it did get physical, it was gain control and cuff them. There was no time we had to, come on, yeah. You look crazy in a uniform, engaging some guy in fisticuffs. That was my argument with some of the martial arts when I was on the job. I can't be kicking a guy. I look crazy in my gray uniform. Throwing kicks at a guy. I look crazy. So I'm saying the training isn't that. That is something else. And we were always taught, and I'm going to finish right here, if you do something else, you're responsible. I always thought about my family and my house and my cars. You're going to lose. So I don't like it when everybody comes in, oh, we got to explain it. There's no explanation for it. Sometimes you're just wrong. And that's what we saw right here. $100 million worth. And hopefully somebody, I'm not going to say it because I said I was done. Hopefully somebody can tell you where that $100 million is coming from. I'm going to leave it at that.
Derek?
Yeah, it's tough to come behind D after he hit us with the Sammy Davis Jr. But there are some cops that have a desire to do what we saw. And they always have been. And it probably always will be. And some of them, they're just looking for a chance to jump on somebody and beat the crap out of them. It's unfortunate. It's the reality. And I've seen it. And for those of us that have been supervisors, there's people in every command, they bring people in that are beat up, and it's the same guys doing it all the time. And they always have a similar reason or a similar excuse to why they're doing it. And these officers were seasoned officers. These weren't inexperienced guys. Just I think it was Rich who said some of the ICE guys were inexperienced. I know the one that shot the lady in the car. I don't remember how many years he had on, but it was in the teens.
Yeah,
it was in the teens, and I think it was more than 15.
Like that.
So it's not just inexperienced officers doing these things. It's probably mostly not inexperienced officers doing it because they probably be too fearful that they couldn't get away with it. Is the ones that are knuckleheads that have been around for a long time, that think they're smart and think they're slick, and they think they can get away with it. And in the video that we saw, and I don't know if we saw the entire video, but in the video that we saw, I counted 12 punches, 1 kick, 1 knee, 1 stomp, and they rammed his face into the rack and then dragged him through the glass. All of that happened to a guy that I don't know how you could mess up the description. This guy had on turquoise socks, turquoise pants, a turquoise hat, a white t-shirt, and white shoes. I can guarantee you, there's not another fucking guy in New York City walking around with that same outfit on, so there's no way they could have gotten that description and got it wrong. There's no 2 guys wearing that same shit. It's just not possible. So they wanted to beat somebody's ass, and they did it, and it's going to cost the taxpayers. It's going to cost the taxpayers $100 million, and personally, I don't think that's enough. I think he should walk away with $100 million, which means the case would have to get 150 because the lawyer gets a third. And it's unfortunate. Again, not inexperienced, not a mistake. There are guys out there that are just waiting to jump on somebody for whatever reason. I don't know, but they're out there. Be careful, people. They're out there.
Yeah. Mark?
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to continue with what Derek said. He made good points. Sometimes, and we've seen this become more and more of a pattern, just the color of your skin will make some people fear you. You don't have to have a weapon. You just have to be a certain shade. And that's pretty much it. Everybody talked about it and made good points. So I'm not going to beat that. The only other thing I'm going to say is prostitution can't be viewed or shouldn't be viewed as a victimless crime. There are a lot of women out there who are forced into it. You have people who get these women, they think, from other places and they're going to be their boyfriend or whatever, and then they're hooked on drugs, and next thing you know, they're forced into prostitution out of fear. So it's hardly a victimless crime. That's it.
Okay. Well,
thing work narcotics, and a couple of angles to come at this at. From the narcotics standpoint, if you've ever sat in on a narcotics trial, rarely, if ever, do they call in a completely impartial witness that wants to explain to you what happened. Unless, of course, the narcotics investigation blossoms into a gunfight or something else. But when it's exclusively narcotics arrest, you don't have a bystander testifying. It's usually the officers, and that's it. Because in most cases, the defendant does not get on the stand because now they become available to the prosecution as well. So that being said, narcotics investigators oftentimes have the latitude to work without a lot of direct oversight. Again, my observation, my experience, without a lot of direct oversight, a lot of times the individuals that they're targeting for their investigation are already individuals who are at a disadvantage socially, economically, hence why they've gotten into the narcotics game, especially when you're talking about low-level, street-level narcotic stuff. Now, when you make a street-level narcotics arrest, your focus isn't that individual. Your focus is getting that individual to give you leverage to get to the next person up. So in this scenario, if they're in a specialized unit, you're wondering where is the level of competency to be able to accurately identify and move in on your target. But because you don't have other people out there checking like that with those cases, because I can promise you this, you all, what happened with this gentleman right here is just one that just happened to get out there. It happens a lot. I took over a unit in one of my assignments, and they had targeted a guy for an ongoing investigation that had started before I got there. And so I'm kind of new at it as a supervisor and everything. And, we're doing the control buy and whatnot. They've got the confidential informant. The informant comes back and tells them, yeah, the guy that you're targeting is in there. Make the arrest, and come to find out that the case is trashed because the person that they had said was the target, that they relied on the confidential informant, had been incarcerated in a whole nother county for the duration of the investigation. Now, had they just run the name of the guy to make sure that he didn't pop up, because a confidential informant is only going to do what they do for one or two reasons, either to get charges dropped or to make money, or both. And as a narcotics investigator, when you're trusting somebody that has another outside agenda, y'all heard me say this a million times, you heard me say it once. My daddy always said, trust but verify. And when you're a narc investigator, that's the part of your homework that you better do. In this situation, not only were they wrong in their investigation, certainly they were overwhelmingly wrong in trying to take this guy into custody, because I'll raise my hand right now. If 5-0 rolled up on me and said, you're under arrest for narcotics violation, I might not go into assaultive resistance, but my first reaction is going to be passive resistance. I'm like, what are you talking about? My next reaction will probably be active resistance. When they go to grab my hand, I'll probably snatch my hand back. You can't possibly have the right person. Mm-hmm. And according to the law and according to the Constitution, I'm well within my rights to do that. But then they turn around and they start really going in on me. Well, depending on who you're messing with, you can wind up getting messed up pretty bad behind that. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that I'm capable of doing that. I'm not saying I'm not. But at the end of the day, the point is, if you're going to do this job, Understand the responsibility that comes with it. Understand that your first priority is serving the community. If you don't have it, live to fight another day. Don't manufacture stuff and then try to hide behind credibility that's presumed because of what you do, because that winds up eroding at the credibility going down the road.
Mm-hmm. Before you come to you, Donald, I want to speak to not the person, but the actual tactics of making an arrest. I said it before, I'll say it all the time. Sometimes police work is ugly. This shouldn't be the case. This shouldn't be the case. Good tactics reduces the opportunity of effing up. Why would you try to arrest somebody? Everybody said without a weapon. All those bottles of weapons. Why would you try to arrest somebody with all those bottles there? Those are weapons. He can't live in there. He got to come out of there. You know that's the guy you want? Get away, get close to the register, away from all the bottles. You know, just do things that make more tactical sense. You know, to reduce your opportunity to have to fight. Now, like somebody mentioned before, they probably wanted to fight. That's different. But if somebody's actually trying to effect an arrest, be it the right person or the wrong person, you find out later, you do it, you try to make sure you got the right person, and do it that put you at less harm as possible. Okay. Donald?
Yeah, you see, everything said I pretty much agree with, but they were sure he was the right person, and they were really sure they were gonna get away with what they were doing. They were sure of that. I just want to read some comments. Donald Coleman says to you, Derek, Derek, I call it the Levittown syndrome. They never had a fight in their life, but they are big and bad now, if you know what I mean, and you definitely know what we mean. There's some police officers, a lot of police officers. I ain't gonna say some no more. I'm gonna just say what I saw. A lot of police officers became Superman when they put on that uniform. And then we would go to like Christmas parties or engagements where family members would come, and they were Superman at work and wimps at home. And I'm talking about the men. I'm talking about the men, CJ. They were wimps at home. Their wives said, "Go get me a drink," and they go running up there getting a drink, or go grab me there. They're running to do this. But at work, they're Superman at work. Put on that vest, put that gun belt on, and put the gun on. They can do anything. So I actually witnessed that. Corey, Primetime Chisholm says, that's true, Will. It does happen a lot. Whatever the conversation was at that time, he said that does happen a lot. Carl Saunders says, have any of you cops been pulled over while on the job? Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I believe probably all of us have at some point. I believe we've all been pulled over at some time. Uh-oh. Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
Hey, I got locked up in the lovely state of North Carolina when I was a cop. So the answer to that is yes, I have.
Mm-hmm. So you got that call. Mark said he was arrested for speeding. I mean, it wasn't like he was doing something. I mean, in that state, that is criminal. 15 miles with a speed limit is reckless driving and all that stuff. But it wasn't like he was beating someone up or robbing somebody or stealing or all of that stuff. He was driving fast in the middle of the night or the middle of the morning, early morning when there's no one out there, and he just, he did have a Grand National too, so that makes a difference too.
Okay.
They caught him.
Yeah, that's why Mark wants me to drive all the time. Anyway, back to this case again. It's some interesting points that were made, a lot of interesting points. One of the things that everybody that's listening should understand is that the problem that resulted in this was the actions of the officers on this individual. We prefaced this early on, whether he was guilty or not is not the issue. The issue is they didn't have a right to beat him up the way they beat him up. Now, based on the fact that, as Will was saying, if you're an innocent guy and the police are arresting you for a drug thing, you may do some passive resistance, and then you may do some not so passive resistance. But even that, pulling your arm away or making it tough to cuff you does not give anybody a right to beat the tar out of you. So no matter how you slice this thing, everybody should understand you should really not get yourself in that spot. I get it, but no police officer has the right to beat you up. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Rich?
Yeah, just to button this up, I just wanted to come back and say we've had this situation where we've had specialized units all over the country. And what happens is, like I said, it becomes a unit that's more aggressive, more violent. You know, they skirt all the issues, beat somebody down and walk away. You know, and there's no oversight for them because they're doing a good job of tackling a specific problem in the city. So they're given a lot of latitude to do whatever they want. You know, but what happens is they get worse and worse, and they commit more crimes and they abuse more people until there's a death or there's somebody in the ICU based on the tactics. And this is what happens. And then they sit around back at the station, their specialized unit, their room, and they laugh about who they beat down and how they beat them down. Who has the better story? Who'd you get today? And then there's that cycle that happens, and the people that suffers the public until that's knocked down. I know LAPD had something, I think it was called a crash unit, and they were getting that way. They were like thugs, and they had to shut them down. And it was a big investigation, and that program went away. They were doing some good things. They were getting some hardened criminals. You know, they were knocking out, rings, but they were also doing this unlawful type tactics and abusing people. They caught up to them, and they canceled those guys in the program. So that, I think, is the issue. Guys want to tell the best story. That's how cops are. You tell your story. I'm talking about the guys doing the right thing. Oh, guess what I had today? I had this guy. This is what we did, and it's all yucks. But this is the other side of the coin where it's criminal and they're abusing people, and that needs to be shut down. But just like Tyree Nichols, his death anniversary just passed. I think it was February. That was a specialized units, and those specialized units are mostly black officers. What was it? Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was brutally beaten by 5 Memphis police officers during a traffic stop. And they went at him hard, and then they laughed about it later on. But he died. So that's all I got.
Okay. You'll go with Derek, and then D, you can get started on the next video after Derek.
Yeah, and I just wanted to retort what Rich said about, like they were doing some good things. Some of the guys are doing good things. What happens in some of these units, Rich, and the street crimes unit on NYPD was one of them. They would randomly stop minority men, Black and Hispanic men, walking down the street, minding their business. They would attack them, slam them up against the wall, search them, and basically, by the law of averages, if you stop enough people, you're going to get some things off the street. If you snatch 100 random guys off the street, you're probably going to come up with 5 guns. You're going to come up with somebody with some warrants. But just because they were getting some of the stuff off the street doesn't mean they were doing it legally. And what we saw with that gentleman in that liquor store, we saw because of the use of cameras now. And, whether it's a handheld camera, by phone, or whether now more stores, homes having cameras mounted. Before these cameras came into play, there was a whole lot of that stuff going on, and the cops were getting away with it. And when you make a complaint or you end up before a judge, they are believing the police officers. So it's the cameras that are really saving the day.
D, got a new one for us?
Yeah, we're gonna go into our next video. There was a special forces military guy that got caught up. He bet on one of his operations, and then making a lot of money. I think it was $400,000. Let's take a look.
We're learning that a special forces soldier has been charged for making more than $400,000 by betting on whether or not Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro would be removed from office. And here's the thing. According to the indictment, the officer participated in the planning and execution of the operation and used that classified information to allegedly profit. Remember, Maduro and his wife were captured during a nighttime raid in Caracas by U.S. forces in early January. They're charged with drug trafficking. Both have pleaded not guilty. We've reached out to Polymarket for comment. I want to go right to Tom Winter, who is reporting on this for us. Tom, what are you learning?
Right. So this indictment was just unsealed in the last 20, 30 minutes or so. The arrest had been underway for some time. The plan to make this arrest, the individual Gannon Ken Van Dyke. That's Gannon Ken Van Dyke is a member of the U.S. Special Forces, actually reports to the JSOC, the Joint Special Operations Command, and was actively involved in planning the whole Maduro incident, had made a number of bets over a series of time. Remember, the time period for this operation had shifted, so his bets were actually shifting as the operation shifted. It was an outsized bet. It caught the attention of everybody right away. It was a profit of over $400,000 that this individual, again, according to the indictment, hasn't even appeared in court yet, hasn't even entered a plea. Presumably, it'll be not guilty, but apparently made the substantial amount of money. It was able to profit from it. He was involved as early as December 8th. I remember this happened just after the New Year, the raid of Maduro, but it was starting to be involved. They used a VPN, a virtual private network, in order to try to conceal, according to the indictment, his internet activity. It was acutely aware of sensitive compartmental information. This is classified information about an ongoing military operation, so it's quite significant. Faces up to 20 years just for the wire fraud charge alone. The interesting thing beyond this case is that they charge commodities fraud. And what makes that important is that they're now treating Polymarket as if it was the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ or the CME. And the implication of that is that for other people that might try to make inside bets, and there's been a number of concerns about those, using Polymarket or similar types of services, in the eyes of the Southern District of New York, which has tons of experience of prosecuting these insider trading type cases, they view it as you're just making an inside tip on the stock market. So this certainly widens the aperture here for potential prosecutions and really puts people on notice. Something our Jay Clayton spoke about on CNBC, the business network, recently. He's the U.S. attorney here in New York, spoke about this idea of, look, we don't see much distinction backing up today in terms of this indictment. So significant that a U.S. soldier charged with some of the most sensitive information, planning this, still decided to make an inside bet, again, according to federal prosecutors and a grand jury.
Yeah, and we haven't heard from Polymarket.
We're still waiting on a response from them. As soon as we have that, obviously, we can update.
All right, Tom Winter, thanks so much.
Sure.
Okay, I had Jim and then Will.
Very quickly, and what did Donald Trump say about this? I don't know if any of you heard it. He said, well, at least he bet on our side, just like Pete Rose. That was his comment, President of the United States. Well, at least he bet on our side. So I wouldn't think this thing is going to go anywhere.
Okay. Go ahead, Will.
So I wanted to better understand what Polymarket was. I got an idea just based on the context of it. But Polymarket is the world's largest decentralized prediction market that allows users to bet on the outcomes of real-world events such as politics, economics, and sports by buying and selling yes or no shares. Operating on the Polygon blockchain, it functions like a stock market. I say again, it functions like a stock market where share prices from $0 to $1 represent the market's estimated probability of event occurring. We have an administration that is selling access to such information, seemingly it's business as usual. Now, this guy, in my opinion, this guy getting caught, yeah, he should face some charges. But remember, this is polymarket. This isn't like the stock market. It's basically yes or no. Now, he had access to information, kind of similar to what the president might have when it comes to making decisions about moving forward with certain political acts that have global implications. He utilized that information to enrich himself, kind of like launching a Bitcoin operation through your family. Y'all, this is just an indication of scratching the surface of two things. One, that it's okay to use influence to enrich yourself, unless you're someone that they look at as, no, that person shouldn't have that. Now, it could be that this guy's going to wind up actually getting pardoned, because this is the sort of thing that this current administration and the people that support them would embrace, because they call that smart. Insider trading, what's that? Now, it's an issue if they try to say that someone from the liberal side, the Democratic side, or to call specific names, they make money, and there's absolutely no evidence tied to it that they utilize their position. But we've got an administration that has trampled all over the emollients clause to enrich themselves and their family. But here you got a enlisted or officer in the military who has much more limited income, and you want to hold him up as being responsible for this. And again, he should be held accountable, but it's kind of hard for that to have credibility when you got the same thing being done at the highest levels of government. Done.
Okay, D.
Well, you said it. I really don't have much to add, but I gotta keep my tropes going, just because it keeps me going. Are we surprised? Right? Now you got special forces guys betting on whether special forces things are going to happen. And I just say, what if the drug guys start betting on drug things that are happening? When I worked drugs, I was privy to a lot of information. What if I started enriching myself when I knew the big hits were coming, or the guns, or the bodies, because I was with the U.S. Marshals? What happens then? If this is okay, what happens if I start betting on how many bodies I'm going to get this morning, or how many guns we're going to get off the road uptown tonight? What happens then? And then I don't, well, when I don't get to bet, I just don't work that night. That's what we're coming up with? See, these things are, when it's far off in Venezuela, nobody thinks about it. And this is for our listening audience. You got to realize this stuff is rolling downhill, and it's emboldened people to do some things they've never done before. People are listening to our commander in chief, and they're making life bets on what he's saying and what he's not saying, because that's the financial enrichment that he does. He'll say something and then say, hey, you want to make a bet on that, or you want to make a stock on that, or and then all of these little Bitcoin ain't even money. Bitcoin ain't even money. They came up with some different money. Now they got this. They're betting on things that most people, we never cared about, and you're able to bet and make money on these things. I just say, and I've always said, watch what you're okay with, because it's coming to as a friend of mine says, it's coming to a street near you, and then you ain't gonna have no control over it. And then you're gonna say, I don't understand, and I'm gonna say, shut up. You was okay when this guy was doing it. Shut up. That's all I got.
Okay. Similarly, it's insider trading, basically. So we understand what that is. It's not cool in general. But the Southern District of New York and I don't know who actually made the arrest. When are they gonna go to Congress? Because Congress use inside information and getting rich also. Or better yet, when you go down the street to the White House and ask them to call his people in and find out when you gonna go get his son, his son-in-law, and his other son. Because they made more money since he been in, since January? He ain't been there that long. Since he been in office this time, they made more money than they made for the rest of their life before then. In the last year and change. On stuff that they haven't done before. They never produced drones. And all of a sudden they got
a drone company.
A drone company that's being hired by the United States. You have no experience with drones at all. Well, like I said, I don't think it's cool inside trading, but what are you going to do for other people? Get other people stop using inside information also. Donald?
Yep, just reading comments, AC. Richard Bowden says that Special Forces is innocent until proven guilty. After he is tried and convicted, he needs to be thrown under the prison. After civilian trial, he needs to be court-martialed, reduced to pay grade E1, forfeit all pay and allowances, and get a dishonorable discharge and spend the rest of his life at Fort Leavenworth. Also, he pled not guilty today.
Yeah, can I just go in? Richard, I feel your comment, but bruh, you started off saying he's innocent until proven guilty, and then you went on to say basically all the reasons that the guilt was just a formality. I'm just pointing that
out. Brian Camp says, yes, it is true what Trump said. Did the soldier bet on the U.S. like Pete Rose bet on his team or the opposition? Carl Saunders says, Reverend Donald E. Butler, thank you for letting AC host today because he is a cool cat. That's AC's brother.
Yeah. Well, are you finished with those, Donald?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So I know this is weird, but what's this, number 5 or 6 we're going to?
Number 4.
See? We haven't got past 4.
Number 4.
You're getting heavy.
Yeah,
okay.
Get back beyond
I got
yourself.
excited. You got a strong one?
Yeah. This is pretty short.
Okay.
All right, I'm up. Let's take a look because AC is in a rush.
So I've never seen a case quite like this. Here, the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is a nonprofit civil rights group, was indicted on federal fraud charges. Now, the Justice Department is alleging that this group gave money to informants who then infiltrated groups affiliated with the KKK or the Nazis, for example. Now, the Southern Poverty Law Center said it did have an informant program for a time, and they used it to monitor threats and often share what they learned with law enforcement. But the crux of the federal case argues that they were fundraising off of a promise to dismantle hate groups, and then they would turn around and give money to those same groups. And they're arguing that was part of this alleged fraud. But in a statement, the Southern Poverty Law Center defends its work, saying taking on violent hate and extremist groups is among the most dangerous work there is, and we believe it is also among the most important work we do. To be clear, this program saved lives. During a press conference Tuesday, the acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, who was joined by FBI Director Kash Patel, he said that this investigation into the Southern Poverty Law Center will be ongoing.
Okay. Will, you had your hand up? Take it down.
Do you realize how much of a reach this is? If you know anything about the Southern Poverty Law Center and the work that they have done, in order to gain intel on organizations that are predicated on hate and bias, and actively looking for individuals to hurt and harm on that basis. It's no different than law enforcement when we use an undercover or a confidential informant. We know money can cause people to go against their interest. So if you find somebody susceptible to taking payments to feed you intel from a clandestine environment like any sort of hate group or what have you, in the interest of saving lives and potentially preventing incidents of violence, then yeah, that's a tool in your tool belt. And the records show that whenever they got credible intel or any intel, they would forward it to law enforcement, which in and of itself is a risk because not all law enforcement was in support of the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah.
It could be that they're reporting that information and then then law enforcement go back to that organization and say, yo, y'all got a mole. You got somebody snitching you out to the Southern Poverty Law Center. And now you are trying to fabricate charges on an organization that has done tremendous work to help hold people accountable for bias-based acts. I don't know what's more ridiculous, the charges against them or this new indictment against James Comey. I don't know what's more ridiculous. But just when I think that they're at the very bottom, that they can't get no deeper in the ocean, yeah, I'm getting ready to go there. I'm getting ready to break out my Dave, y'all. These motherfuckers took a shovel down there and dug a deeper hole.
Yeah, you can't stay away too long. It's stuff built up. Okay. Yeah, D.
Well, how am I supposed to follow that?
The same way Dave would.
let me say this, and it's a bigger conversation. I think I mentioned it earlier. Ain't no more investigators, guys. There's no more prosecutors. There's no more real judges. They gutted everything.
Yeah.
So when these things are happening, I mean, we just talked about them prosecuting James Comey again. Didn't the first prosecutor? She wasn't even a prosecutor. And the judge said, what he said, what is this she giving me here? This doesn't remotely resemble any kind of piece of work that you're supposed to be submitting to the court. I just wanted to say, because while I was watching this is worse than the clown world. As a citizen, I'm afraid. I would be afraid. I gotta start eating my Wheaties, because can't nothing happen to me, because if something happens to me, ain't nobody around to solve the crime. There's a bunch of people. There's a bunch of people that sit at a table. I'm gonna say it when the shooting's going on, and look like they as interested as anybody else. What? And that's okay. I would imagine the state police seeing my picture sitting at a table and somebody's firing weapons and I'm working and I'm sitting there looking like I'm lost. They'd be like, come here. Come here. You must want to work somewhere else. That's the world we're in. Everybody's holding a title, not qualified, don't even know what the job entails.
Yep.
You guys see I was just watching one of the congressional meetings today. People don't even know what the job entails. They ask them, "Can you tell me what you're supposed to be doing?" Well, I don't know. I serve at the pleasure of the president, and that's what I do. I serve at the pleasure of the president, and that's it. Well, what are you supposed to be doing? You in charge of education. What you supposed to? I don't know. And they're just able to go on, and just able to move on and make decisions. It's the craziest thing in the world, and I think that's where we are. And this investigation, I don't worry about no investigation. This is the only time in my life I ain't really worried about being indicted, because y'all don't know what y'all doing. So have at it. That's it.
That's the truth.
That's what Comey said.
Ooh, no. Have at it.
You got a hand up, Mark?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, add to D. You know, that might have been your tactics years ago, but you better change them now, because anybody of color, when they hear gunshots running to help, they better be careful. They may not be viewed as help, and they may be taken out too. So you might want to slow your roll a little bit. And Cash Patel has a little bit of a tan, so he might have had a reason.
Yeah, Rich.
We got more than that, a little bit.
This is the clown world, like he's talking about. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense what they do and how they do. But I tell you this: if just like we talked about the fraud that went down with the the guy gambling with the information, the insider. I mean, that stuff is condoned by this administration. I mean, that's okay. You know, those guys doing that kind of stuff, it's okay. It's okay to gain the stock market. It's okay to, say something to make the stock go down, and then all your friends buy it, and then say something the next day and it goes back up. You decide to taco, you chicken out, and then all of a sudden everybody's making money. All the fat cats, all your friends, the guys in Congress that's getting the information, that's the whole syndicate, that's just committing crimes and they don't care, but they're trying to hold a little guy accountable. Or if you're doing something good, they want to try to taint your organization because you're doing good for people. They don't want that. So it's a big effort to besmirch people. Trump is going from frivolous lawsuits to frivolous prosecutions. And he doesn't care because it's the actual process that's the punishment. And if you can afford to weather that, you're okay. Like Comey can afford to weather that. They have cut out all the agencies that help people. They don't want to give how many people, tens of millions have lost health care? Prices are up. Trump campaigned on not doing any more wars, and he started a war, helping out Netanyahu. I mean, he just slapped MAGA in the face because that was a MAGA thing. They didn't want any more wars. They didn't want us being the cop of the world anymore. But what did he do? Exactly what Netanyahu wanted to do, but didn't help Ukraine. And he's been having phone calls with Putin. We're talking about a traitorous individual that's in the White House, that's doing all kind of crimes, a traitor against our friends, and licking the boots of our enemies. And this guy shouldn't be removed. This is the case, and we're losing rights. Our freedom of speech is tainted. You just can't say whatever you want. Jimmy Kimmel's finding that out. He made a joke. They want to fire him.
Again.
They want to take ABC down, Disney, whatever, whoever's affiliated with. But he can say anything. He can say, I'm glad Robert Mueller's dead. I'm glad McCain died. He's a loser. He can say all those vile things, but 86-47 in seashells in the sand, that means you're trying to kill the president, and we're going to go after you again, even though it was thrown out. So this is where we're at, y'all. I mean, it's a sad state of affairs. And like Jim brought up earlier, the Voting Rights Act, we're going back to Jim Crow. If we keep letting this guy do what he's doing, we're going back to Jim Crow. And it's sad that there's nobody. I mean, Democrats are standing up, we're not going to allow this, but they don't have the power. And they're actively rigging the election and future elections with the redistricting they're doing. I mean, this is gerrymander rig in plain view, and we don't care what you do. Because the thing backfired in Texas. They got Trump, I want 5 more seats. Well, they got screwed up with that. And we barely got it even. And now Florida's going to do their thing, which is going to we're going to lose more seats as far as Democrats are concerned.
so it's just a sad scene of affairs, sycophants. I mean, and the biggest bullshit is his criminal attorney is now the acting attorney general. So that means any crimes that involving Trump, his administration, his buddies, will never get prosecuted. Okay? I mean, that is, you talk about Sessions saying, I need to recuse myself. Yeah. How can you have your criminal attorney in charge of the Justice Department? But we allow that to go on. This is the clown world we live into. All you can do is protect yourself. Do the best thing you can to protect yourself. And now you just can't say whatever you want. And there was a guy that was on the internet, his account got banned because he criticized Trump. Okay, his account got banned. He didn't say anything horrible. He just stated the facts. Well, they banned his account. He had 1 million followers. Do you know what that meant for him? That was money in his pocket that they took away by banning his account. So he started another one. He's got 42,000 people. Some people that were with him are doing it again. But he was, basically crushed because he spoke out. He spoke his mind. And they took that away from him because Trump has got his hand, I don't want to rant, but he's got his thumb on every scale. On everything. Anything that goes down, he's got his thumb on the scale. He's in connection, in cahoots, affiliated, and making things happen. And it's so unfair to people. And there's no governing body or any kind of organization that's going to defend you or help you. We're at a loss. We just sit here and see what's the next thing on the news today. Oh, what do you do? Oh, okay. That's where we're at. I mean, what do we do? I don't know. I just hope that the midterms actually go off without being rigged, and we actually get Democrats controlling the House at least, and maybe even the Senate. That's how poor this guy is polling, even with his own people. His own support's falling apart. Fox News. How many people are going against him? And the young guys.
I apologize for cutting you off. We got to clear out. They got to close out.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I'll rant next year. I mean,
yeah. The last video. It's amazing. That's the same agency that's supposed to stop doing that. That's not acting. They don't have any anybody that's working to stop prejudicial, crimes, anything like that. But yet still they find the money to do that. That being said, we gotta get out of here. It's time to go.
Oh.
So you got a quick one. Down, you gonna sign us out? What's going on?
What do you want? What do you
I think he's asking for a Good Boy video.
Oh, you want to go? Oh, yeah. I always got one. I got one up. Real quick. I saw this video last week, and I said I don't want to talk Democrat, Republican, but I miss the good old days. And my mom used to say when she was here, bless her heart, you can tell a person or a society by the way the children act. Let's take a look.
Who's gonna help me get up?
Hey D, can you send me that?
I will.
I'd like to have that clip.
You're muted, Donald.
That was really nice. I did. I like that as well. And plus, I just love being around a bunch of kids anyway.
Yeah, right.
But thank you so much, AC, for leading us and getting us done. Thank you, D, for your time and what you put in. And thank you, the whole panel, for jumping in and out. I'm sorry, that was Jamel jumping in and out. Thank you all, guys, for participating with us. Listen, we appreciate it. Listen, we're on a time. We got to be out of here, and we're gonna take it. CJ, good to see you. Jerry, good to see you. We didn't get to say hello to either one of you because you came on later on, but thank you for joining us as well. All right, I think, is that it? Anyone got anything else to say?
Just want to apologize real quick to Dave. When I get out of pocket like that, I be always pretexting by saying, I'm gonna let my inner Dave come out. Dave, I can't even blame that on you, bro. That's all on me.
Other than pray. Listen, and Karen Caffey says real quick, she says, the link that I just added is from the Powell memo written in 1971. Okay. Eva says, is there anything I or we can do as individuals other than pray and vote? That's it. You got to do something. And voting is the first step to changing this stuff and getting power back into the right hands. All right. So, but definitely pray. Let us pray. God, our Father, we thank you again for allowing us to come together. We thank you for this show. We thank you for the persons that are on Facebook Live and those who are on YouTube. We thank you for their questions. We thank you for their responses. And now, God, we depart from this place, enough of your presence. Pray to God you will continue to be with us. Keep us all from all hurt, harm, and danger. Thank you for life, health, and strength. Happy birthday to Colleen Bull. And we pray to God for those who are on our sick and shut-in list that you will lift them up. We thank you now. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Tigers.